And the first question is, what is GitHub? So GitHub is a version control system. And what a version control system means is that it records changes you make to a particular file or a set of files over time. And with GitHub, you can also recall the specific versions at later times, which means if you make a change to a file, you can recall that change that you have made at later times. And next, it allows you to go back to that previous state where you can use that particular file without the edit. And also this allows you to revert changes to a project as well. So if you have a particular project and you've made changes to that and the changes break the application itself and you want to go back, you can simply just revert the entire project back to what it was before, and then you can now track the current problems. Next, you can also compare the changes over time and see who last modified a code, where it was modified, and how or if that is what is causing the problem. You can also check who introduced an issue, when they did so, and a lot more. So back to what GitHub is. GitHub is a version control system. So the fact is, GitHub is simply an ecosystem that has a lot of features where developers can come together and work on a project. They can also come together and discuss about something. It could be an issue, it could be a new feature, it could be anything related to tech. Then the second definition is saying GitHub is a United States global company that provides hosting for software development version control. What this is saying is that it's a company in US that provides hosting for this version control system. So here as well, it's also telling you that part of what it does is to host a version control system. Now, in the advantages of GitHub itself, you have a place to store your code for the public to view. You can easily showcase your work as well as your code because it's stored there. You can just share the link to someone, or you can simply just package the code into an application and have a URL there that when someone visits, they can see the live URL of a project and they can actually see what the code looks like, and they can also look at the actual code. And this is helpful to your employers and other people that might be willing to collaborate on a project with you, because they would want to know what you've done, how you can contribute to their project, and if you'll be valuable to their project. So the Markdown allows you to use a simple text editor to write formatted documents. And this is simply stating that you can format your text, like your paragraphs, your headers, different types of headers easily, and you wouldn't have to write too much to do that. So this is Asabina. And in here she has a repository for the 30-day Python, a 30-day Python challenge. Here is her repo that is a 30-day Python challenge. Scrolling through, you can see that from here you see that this file is called the README, and the MD means Markdown. That's what the extension means. So this is a Markdown file, and you can see in here how she has formatted everything. So it's not that technical. See here, she has a link. You click here, it goes here. So all of this were made with the Markdown. So furthermore in the course, you'll be learning how to use the Markdown to write some very interesting README files, or whatever files you want to display or share with anyone in Markdown. Then the next point is GitHub has great documentation. They have a very detailed documentation which would help you go through most of their functions and abilities. They have very detailed documentation which simply takes you through their platform and how to navigate it efficiently. We would also be going through that later. What integrating with other platforms means is that you can connect to your GitHub repository from other accounts or other platforms and use their services. For example, you might want to deploy your application, which means you want to put it on a server in the cloud where you can view your code and share that with people. From here, we can see in the brief description that GitHub is a development platform inspired by the way you work from open source to business, which means from open source whereby anyone can contribute to the project, which is how most of Google's projects are open source. Simply anyone can contribute to that project. And the business is referring to the private repositories where no one else can see their code except those that they have tagged as contributors. So we'll be talking more about GitHub, but for now, the first thing you'd want to do if you don't have an account is to sign up with GitHub. And this will be needed later on, so please get your GitHub account. Now we're moving into the resources for learning HTML and CSS. The first one out is Google. There's no other place that you would find information as valuable as you would on Google. Because this is not actually a site, it's more like a search engine. So it indexes all the sites that have information in different areas. It's a very powerful search engine that you need to optimize. So use Google and learn other ways you can use Google as well. Then number 2, which is Mozilla Docs. And Mozilla Docs, here there are a lot of information about different technologies that come together to make web pages, web applications, and different other stuff in programming, because HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the foundations that you would need to go into almost everything. If you want to go into software engineering, you would need this. So you need to know the basics, and this is where you have almost everything, talking about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, graphics, which is going to be like the SVG and a bunch of other stuff. Then HTTP, which is about making requests to the server, back and forth, transferring information along the line. And then there's the APIs and DOMs, which we're also going to go into further in JavaScript here. But for now, we'll just focus on this 2, which is the HTML and CSS. If you click here, you can see there's a lot of information here. You see this is talking about the HTML elements. And there's an introduction here. There's the learning area. And if you see what they tell you. So this is one of the resources you're going to use during this course. You're going to be going through the documentation here and reading, practicing what you read as well. So this resource is very important. Make sure you can come back here and just scan through. And then we can check the CSS and this little info here. It says, while HTML is used to define the structure and semantics of your content, CSS is used to style and lay it out. After Mozilla Docs, the next resource is W3 Schools. In here, they have information on almost everything, coming from HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, SVGs, Canvas, SAS. Then if you go into JavaScript, the frameworks, which are Angular, React, and then there's one more, Vue. They don't have Vue, unfortunately, but then there is a lot more stuff here. For Python, there is SQL, learning server side, there's PHP, you can learn ASP, Node.js, a lot of all of that. So you can just come and look through, but since we're just starting with HTML and CSS, this is where you should have your attention for now. And then the next resource is Codecademy. So in here, you will want to sign up, and I think the last time that I signed up here I had to use a credit card, but you can also check this out. This is good. But we're not really going to focus on Codecademy throughout this entire course. The next one is Free Code Camp. So here's Free Code Camp. Here they have a lot of material and exercises, also with projects on different areas. But we're going to be focusing on just the responsive web certification, which upon completing this sections, you actually get a certificate. And you do that by completing the projects inside of that. So we'll be going through this as well and making sure you get a certificate with Free Code Camp, which will satisfy you in these areas and is globally accepted. So here is the JavaScript algorithms and data structure certification, which we're also going to be going into in the front-end course. But for now, we're going to stay focused on this responsive web certification. And then the final resource is YouTube. And YouTube is somewhere that you can go for anything. Simply, they have everything. If you want to get an HTML full tutorial, you can just simply type that in and you will see that there is a lot of videos on that. And two of the top ones are from Free Code Camp, and that's the resource I just shared. So these guys have good tutorials and you can check here, go through their videos, and pick up as much as you can. And if you don't really feel like doing that, there's no issue. We are going to go through all of that in this introductory course. So don't fret. I got you. So the